So now I'm going to show you how to create a combination chart. So this is actually really good if you want to compare um, the data with, say, a standard that's supposed to be met. So, for example, if we look at the dissolved oxygen concentration here, does this meet the standard? The minimum standard for dissolved oxygen is 4 parts per million, and that is for the swimming standard. For the fishing and boating standard, it's 3 parts per million, but let's go with for aquatic life flights, 4. So, a couple things. I actually want to set up this data before I create the combination chart. So, first thing I'm going to do is I am going to use the sample location. I'm going to make a copy of that, put it below here. You don't have to do this, but this is just to make it easier for myself. And then I am going to type in dissolved oxygen. So I'm going to average these numbers together. And let's make that in bold and wrap the text. Okay. So to average your data, type in equals, start typing average, select average, and then highlight the two numbers you're going to average together. So that's these two right here. Press enter. Then move the mouse over this square here till it turns into a really big plus sign. And then click and drag down, and it'll give you the average of your entire two columns here. So that's done. I'm also going to format this because I like things to be symmetric. Okay, now, so far you still have two parameters, right? So that's a typical line graph. That's not what we want. We want to have 3 parameters because you're going to have two graphs on one chart, or two charts on one graph. So let's add another standard, or add the standard, dissolved oxygen, I'll say swimming slash bathing standard. And by the way, this is used by the Department of Health to determine whether or not it's safe to go swimming, say in Coney Island or Sheepshead Bay. Okay. And formatting. There we go. Okay. For this one, like I said, it's 4. That's the minimum standard. So I'm just typing in 4, clicking and dragging down, and it will copy that number all the way down. So now we actually have 3 parameters here. So I've highlighted all of these. Then you go to chart. And of course, it's going to create a chart of things that you want. So this is not necessarily wrong, but we want the combination chart. So what you do is you go to setup, which is already here. You tap where it says line chart, and then you scroll down, and you can choose basically between different charts, right? How do I want to phrase this? So think about the kind of charts that you want to show, what kind of information you want to show, right? So there's 2 ways that you can do this. You, in this case, are showing dissolved oxygen from different sites. If this standard wasn't here, it wouldn't make sense to use a line graph because you're not connecting that over some time period. There's no connection between the two, right? So what you do is click this line graph here, And then from there, you need to change the charts that you use for that one. And the way you do that is here. That's what we want. You do combo chart. Combo chart is this. The next thing is, so that it's easier to see what the standard is, click on this line here and you can change that. You can change it so that I'm trying to remember how to do this. I'm doing this on the fly. You can do it so that it fills in from the bottom to this line. And the way that you do it, there's a chart title, so it doesn't make sense. Series? Yeah, here we go. Here, you can do a stepped area, and there you go. So what this basically communicates, if someone was looking at this graph or this combination chart, is that anything that is above this line is good. Anything that is below this line, which is why it's in orange, and I'll actually change this to a reddish color. Anything that is below this line is not good. The dissolved oxygen is much too low. You don't have to do it this way, but you can. All the other things I shared in the other videos apply. You can center everything. Here, it's even more important to have your legend. You can choose the location of that legend, whether it's at the top, if it's at the bottom, if it's to the right or the left. If you move it to the right or the left, you will have to adjust the size. Oh, there we go. Good. Sometimes you have to adjust the size of your chart. Now, so that's one combination chart, right? Let's say you want to have, you want to show the top and bottom of, let's say, salinity. So let's create another chart. So very quickly, I'm again going to copy and paste down here just because it makes it easier. Copy, paste. I'm not going to average these because I'm trying to show all three at once. Highlight the entire chart here. Click chart. And it has created both a bar graph and line graph. That doesn't make sense. But what we can do is we can create an area chart, right? So this here is showing the top salinity, which is in orange, and the bottom salinity. And while this is not depth, this is the actual salinity itself. Here is are the sites. Now, this area chart actually doesn't make sense because we're using the different sites, but something that you can use in its place is this, the stacked column. So now you have the bottom of your chart and you have the top with those readings. So it's just another option that you have in terms of sharing your data. There's many other kinds of charts that you can do or that you can use here. You can use a scatter plot. You can even create a map. I have never done that before, but you do have access to the locations, like the physical longitude and latitude of those locations, and it's probably very simple to create. Feel free to go forth and try. And so with that, that is it for the tutorial. I'm trying to put this in a really nice position. Here we go. That's it for the tutorial. And of course, as always, if you have any questions, email me or you can post to our classroom.